Hi, I'm Anke Blondé and I'm very proud to present the first time screening of my movie The Best of Dorien B, which is a movie about a woman who is stuck in her own life. It's also a really a women's portrait, and it's a comic drama. It's about a woman who is stuck in her life, trying to combine her pet's practice with her kids and her not so loyal husband, and on top of that her parents are divorcing, and she finds out that she has a lump in her breast. So she kind of gets the feeling that universe is tricking her in, that it's a really like a bad joke to her, and she wants to she starts to get the energy to go back to the basics of her values, and she starts to reshape her own universe, actually.
The title of the film is The Best of Dorien B, but it feels mostly like the worst of Dorien B in a way. But what I like about the film is, although all of the events are very dramatic, you find a way to tell them with humor and with a lot of vitality in a way, even though all of the things seem very energy draining. It's a very uplifting film in some sense. Can you talk about finding that balance between having both the humor and the drama next to each other?
Yes, well, for me, I'm very glad that you sense that the balance is right between the humor and the drama, because it's quite an issue for me, as I'm always trying to find humor into drama as well in my personal life. I think it's one of the most helpful tools you get as a person to achieve and to overcome some really bad luck. And I think I don't know why, but I always I'm searching for humor in lots of stuff as well, not only in my films but as well in ordinary life. And I think ordinary life is sometimes really absurd and funny, and I would like to, uplift these funny things as well. And I'm really glad that I hear that you catch it, and that, because sometimes it's really subtle as well. Mm-hmm. And and it's also very nice because for such a long period you're busy working on something, and if it was all drama, I'm so sensitive that I would be depressed by making a drama. Maybe it's out of self-protection, I don't know. Yeah.
You're talking about details and about the subtlety, and what I also think is interesting, the film is called The Best of Dorien B.
Yes.
And I think the title refers to a very specific thing, like a mixtape CD she has in the car. But it doesn't really, the title seems like a very detailed reference to something that's happening in the film as well.
Yes.
Like it's a hidden secret in the film. Can you talk about maybe also putting those details and those subtleties in this film, in the screenplay?
Yes. Well, the title of the movie, The Best of Dorien B, is actually quite ironic, of course, because a lot of bad things happen to the main character. But it's also, I wanted to put it also at another level, because she finds that CD back from her youth, actually, and it's also because she's trying to reconsider who she is as an identity crisis moment, and then you're very much you have very much the feeling of going back to who you were as a child or something, because there your identity defines itself into your adult life. And I quite forgot what your real question was.
It was about finding the subtleties in the characters' lives in the screenplay, fleshing those out.
It's not only the subtleties in the screenplay, I think. There's a lot, but it's also, I think I casted the actors in a way that I knew that they could be really subtle, and that they really, are strong in bringing humor. Because if you're very strong in humor, you have a good timing and you get the subtleties as well. And if you are a good actor in humor, you can also do drama. Because
Can you talk about the lead actress who plays Dorien B? Because she's not a known actress.
No.
So how did you find her, and also how did you prepare her for this very demanding, in a way, role? Because she needs to balance both the drama and the comedy.
Of course, Kim Snauert, who plays the lead role in the film. In the beginning, I was casting a lot of actors, of actresses, but I didn't sense somebody who was as good in humor as in drama, and who had this spontaneity or something. And actually, Kim I met at school, because she's a parent of a kid where my kids go to school, and I always thought that she would be really good on screen, and so I asked her if she was interested, and it seemed actually that she had interest in acting, because I think she followed drama in high school, and she's a performance artist, so she's used to, I didn't know that before, but she's used to have, you know, people looking at her, so that's nice as well. But she was amazingly fearless to go with me into this. I think maybe because we both are like the first time makers of a movie or something. Yes, this is my debut as well, and maybe that what bonded us so well, because we were like really connected. And she read the script, and she really understood the character very well, although it's not her life, and she sensed it very good, and we had like a real good connection. And so I asked her on the casting, and then in the first times that she came, I really was impressed by her naturalism, by the way she handled stuff, but I couldn't see that she had the humor part, which was so important for this character. But then I think like a year later, and I was still searching for, because I wanted to have my actress in forehand that I could write during the, you know, that I could think about the actress while writing, but that it didn't work out. And then a year later, I asked her to come back, because I got to know her better, because by coincidence she became lovers with a good friend of mine, and so I get to know her better, and she's very much a humorous woman. She's really funny, and really wild as well. So I asked her back, and then it was immediately clear that wow, she's Dorien B. Yeah.
You're saying that she identifies with the character she's playing while it's not her life, and I'm wondering, is the character that you've written, is it maybe more your life, or would you say it may be more like a universal, let's say, life, something that a lot of mothers, women, maybe just working persons experience?
I think the character is as much personal as universal, and I believe that if you make something personal, that it easy goes universal. And I acknowledge that the fact that a lot of women are struggling with their identity when they become mother. That's one thing. So that's one thing that she recognizes as well. She said to me, and because you are pushed in a role as a mother in the beginning when you become a mother, and it takes a while to re-identify yourself. And I think that's that a lot of women will recognize themselves, but as well men, because a very few men, I saw it already, were as well. I think everybody, because it's a tranche de vie, everybody recognizes something or picks something else out of the movie that is very valuable for them. So that's great.
Yeah.
So it means for me that I made a universal film, which is something lovely.
Can you talk about, this is your debut film, before you made a couple of short films in Belgium that I feel like deal with similar themes, or at least with a similar tone of voice. But what was it like for you to then go from a smaller scale of a short film to something as big as a debut feature film?
That's a good question that I might not be able to answer directly. I can only say that the experience of making a debut feature film compared to short movies is not that different. It's just a lot more time. It's the same effort you have to make. You have just 5 shooting days, now you have 28 shooting days, but you also have to be very much aware of the characters, of how you're gonna style the movie, how you're gonna film it, which angles, which music. It's all the same, but it's just, it takes more time. For me, that's the difference. It's more years that you preparing it, and that's why I'm glad that I had a film with some humor in it.
Mm-hmm. What I also like about the film is that at once you portray the character in a very vulnerable way, also sometimes in a very, let's say, direct and naked way, but that there's a lot of power in that as well, that it feels like the film in itself is empowering to all the people that are portrayed. Can you talk about that dynamic as well? It relates to the humor and sadness theme, but it's on its own as well.
I'm very, very honored that you glance that you get that. That for me, vulnerability is a strength.
Yeah.
And I think I think it would be very much nicer in some situations that people are allowed to be vulnerable and to show their emotions, which is the theme of this festival. Because I don't think it's weak to let other people know that you're not going well, or that you're trying to, if somebody says something bad to you, that you're not going directly into a bad emotion as well, but you're trying to get why they're being bad to you. Or I'm just talking about communication. That for me, when I was like 10 years ago, I started really to read a lot about communication skills, because I had the impression that a lot of miscommunication, or a lot of fights or even war comes out of discommunication. So a lot of drama comes out of miscommunication. And I think as a person, I try to grow in that as well, to try to communicate in a nice way to people, because as I just had like this quote in my mind, it pops up, like it's very nice to be important, but it's very much more important to be nice.
I also feel like a lot of the drama of the film is because people hide their vulnerabilities or are unable to communicate, which must be very interesting for you as a screenwriter as well, to play with who gets to share what secret of whom, because the film has a lot of secrets.
Yes.
What was it like for you to kind of dive into a whole fictional family and to pick all those like moments of conflict and crisis?
For me, to pick out the crises and the moments of who knows what, it's a very common thing actually, because it happens all around you. And maybe it's because I live in Flanders, but a lot of people don't dare to out their emotions in a way, or are afraid of emotions, or are. It's a common thing to just dig it into the cellar, into the, and not be too emotional. But I'm not playing here for like a drama queen, but like people bring dramatic or something. But some things are more easier just to tell people, and I believe that the stronger you hold on to mystery or to secrets, it comes out sooner or later, and you have to deal with it. So don't ignore it. Yeah.
The film, The Best of Dorien B, is playing in the Big Screen Award competition of the Film Festival of Rotterdam, the 48th edition. What does that mean for you as a let's say, debuting feature-length film director?
For me, it means quite a lot. It's a huge deal for me to be in the big screen competition here in Rotterdam, because I'm very much a filmmaker that is keen to show it to an audience, and because the reason why you make things is to share it with the public and to go in interaction and to go in communication with somebody. And it's a real honor that I got selected, and it's also my world premiere. It's in Rotterdam. It's not only a huge audience festival, but it's also, it stands for good quality. So I'm very, very much honored to be here.
And final question for the audience of the Film Festival of Rotterdam that has yet to see your film. What would you like to tell them or have them know before they go and see this film?
That's a difficult question because it puts too much attention. If I just can say one thing about why they have to see the movie, I think the movie is very special because it gives you a unique inner side of emotions of a modern woman these days. And I hope people will recognize themselves in the feeling of her despair and her estrangement when her life is at the checkpoint. And in the end, I just feel that people will enjoy the movie and laugh as well a lot about drama in their life. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay. Dankjewel.
Ja, graag gedaan. Dat is heel leuk.